Hello viewers, welcome to Ekam Academy. Today we'll discuss and continue Article 19. So in the earlier video we have seen the introduction regarding Article 19. What are the main provisions of this Article 19, 6 freedoms what are present in the Indian Constitution today, and we also have discussed the features to whom it will apply and whom it will not apply, right? So then we'll discuss the first provision of Article 19. So Article 19 clause 1A talks about freedom of speech and expression. So you know, in a democracy or in democratic setup, freedom of speech and expression is very much important. So that was guaranteed by the Indian Constitution as a fundamental right itself. So everyone will have the freedom of speech and expression. So here everyone means only the citizens of India. It is not applied to the persons who are non-citizens, right? So in this freedom of speech and expression, what is that we have to understand? It is not only freedom of speech and expression of your own thoughts, you can also express the thoughts of and the views of others. So these thoughts and views can be expressed by writing, by picturing, or it can be by publishing or by mouth, or that means by uttering some different sentences and words. Also we can express our particular things. Then we also have to understand this freedom of speech and expression also includes right to press. So freedom of press is also included. Right to silence is also part of this article, freedom of speech and expression. Right to know about government activities, right to commercial advertisements, right against pre-censorship by the government is also intrinsic part of freedom of speech and expression. So if you have remembered, in most of the articles, so sometimes the provisions of the same constitution come into conflict with each other. So one such instance happens in the case of Article 19 clause 1A also. So where Article 19 clause 1A guaranteeing freedom of speech and expression comes sometimes in contravention with Article 105, which talks about parliamentary privilege. As we know, members of parliament or members of state legislatures, so whatever they say in the parliament or within the house walls, so they are not actually they're not actually made accountable to what they say in the house. So they have complete immunity or privilege. So but in case if the same thing is published by the newspapers and the editors in their particular thing with the authorization, then it is also part of their freedom of speech and expression, because right to press is also part of their main thing, right? So this also includes right against a telephonic tapping. So such fundamental rights are also part of this. So we have to understand freedom of speech expression is very much important in a democratic setup. Then are these absolute? Means no. So we cannot exercise freedom of speech and expression in all the way we can. So for the example, this is also having reasonable restrictions in the form of contempt of court. If you make any derogatory statement or if you make something which is lowering the stature of the court, then it is considered as a contempt of the court. Then we also have sometimes defamation as one of the ground, and sometimes it cannot be in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of the country, or sometimes when it is endangering the security of the country, or when it is disrupting the public order morality. So this type of freedom of speech and expressions cannot be actually entertained. And sometimes you can also see, most of the times, most important colonial law which is also seen in violation with freedom of speech and expression is your sedition, right? So sedition is one thing which comes directly in contravention with your freedom of speech and expression. So when these type of instances happen in the constitutional setup, generally Supreme Court, by interpreting the constitution, it will try to protect the provisions of the same constitution, so by applying the doctrine of harmonious construction. So this is what you have to remember regarding the freedom of speech and expression. So we'll discuss the other parts in detail in the coming videos. So if you like the video and found informative, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for joining. All the very best.